Very nicely done. Very nicely done, Kim. Very,
How
very
are
good.
you?
So, Albert, do you have the open for It's the Planet, Stupid?
Planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet.
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet, stupid.
No. It's the planet, stupid.
You talk about somebody who's overcome challenges. Wow, remember her fight with cancer and my gosh. But she is the eco-journalist who likes, when possible, to bring us good news of the environment and what's happening. It's harder and harder to find. She's with us today, and she joins us on Thursdays. Belinda Weymouth. Hi, Belinda.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, Mike?
Good morning. Good morning. So you actually do have a story today that reflects something positive.
Yes, I do. Hey, am I echoing horribly?
Not horribly. You're a little... Albert, I leave it to you to be the arbiter of horribly.
Yeah, I think I accidentally got in the waiting room twice. So if you
no, you sound great. So if it's bothering you, then we're not hearing it on our end.
Okay, all right. I'll just carry on. So what I wanted to talk about today is Ireland has announced their first ever hope spot in the ocean. And a hope spot is like an MPA, a marine protected area.
Stop for a second. Albert, she is dropping out a bunch. How can you say she sounds terrific? Who are you? Are you listening, Albert?
Albert, thank you.
What do you think?
I think I fixed it. I just removed the other accounts.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's way better. Yeah,
unfortunately. Oh, Albert, come on. Albert goes from worst to first. How about that? Yes, nice job. All right, go ahead, Belinda.
Yeah, you've saved me because the reverb, the echo was killing me. So Ireland's announced their first ever hope spot, and a hope spot is like a marine protected area, and it's 7,000 square kilometers of ocean that you won't be able to fish in, they won't be able to mine in, they won't be able to do all these horrible things in. And the reason, we already have gone over 1 million times on the show why it's so important to protect ecosystems. We've got this mass extinction happening. We've got all this biodiversity in the ocean. 95% of the world's biodiversity is in the ocean. They cover 71% of the planet. And it's super important that we protect them. And the reason why I really wanted to talk about this one in Ireland is because it's being designated right now as a hope spot. And hope spots are the brainchild and the work of an unbelievable American oceanographer and ocean advocate, Dr. Sylvia Earle. So I really want to kind of talk about her today to sort of really, show our listeners what one dedicated, amazing person can do. Now, Sylvia Earle is now 87 years old. She's indefatigably optimistic and just completely unstoppable when it comes to the ocean. She is known as her deepness, the Sturgeon General, the Jane Goodall of the sea. I've had the pleasure of meeting her in Washington. She is gracious, she is beautiful, and what she is doing for the ocean is unbelievable. And the thing that's really interesting, I think, about her in relation to what we were talking about last week on the show. So she's got, all her undergrad and her master's degrees, and then her PhD was in a subject called phycology, which is the study of algae, which includes kelp, which we were talking about last week, because kelp-based feed is going to stop cows doing such methane-infused burps. So she knew what she was doing, all those years ago when she did her PhD. She was the first chief scientist at NOAA, which is our National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And 13 years ago, she did a TED Talk, and it was her wish for the ocean. And the thing that really stuck out from me watching it all those years ago, well, 13 years ago, was the incredible positivity that she has, because she talked about, the terrible sort of pillage that's happening in the ocean, that, 90% of fish stocks of the big fish, the ones that we find super yummy to eat, the big predators like tuna and swordfish, 90% of those fish stocks are depleted already. They're gone. But
That's
what
wild to
she,
think of when you think about that.
oh,
90%. And it makes sense. I mean, how could the commercial fishing that has strip mined the ocean of all those big fish, how could that possibly not have the impact? But 90% gone? Wow. Okay,
yeah.
please continue.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's horrific. I mean, she talks about the way that we fish. She said is like trying to hunt. You know, the way we go about fishing in the ocean with ocean floor trawling and all the stuff we do. She said that's like hunting songbirds with bulldozers. It's it's brutal. But what she really emphasized in this TED talk was the 10% of these fish stocks that are left, and that if you have 10%. You can bring them back if you conserve and do the right things. So I would really encourage our listeners to watch her TED Talk, because I think she's amazing. And her TED Talk was so inspiring. She won the TED Talk prize that year, which is $1 million. And of course, she put it into these hope spots. And right now, we have 15,000 of these marine protected areas worldwide. The UN had wanted 10% of the world's oceans to be protected by 2020. We didn't quite get there. We're at 7.5. But, as we've discussed before on the show, there is this huge international movement. It's called the 30 by 30, to have 30% of land and 30% of the ocean protected by the year 2030. That means we're going to have to triple the amount of ocean we're protecting in the next 7 years and double the amount of land. And I, as I've said before on the show, what can we do? What can we, as, the listener, as general Joe public, do out there? And it's really about, get involved with an organization like Mission Blue, which is Sylvia Earle's NGO. When you want to make yearly donations, donate to them, and then really work out who the politicians are who are voting for the environmental things that you care about. We often talk about plastic pollution on the show. Well, Ben Allen, here in California, Senator, he's an amazing advocate for, limiting plastic pollution. But also I really wanted to talk about Dr. Earle, because you can just never underestimate, what one person can do. And I want to tell you one little funny story I know about her. So, James Cameron is very into his technical toys, and he's very into the ocean. And so he built this submersible, this really specialized submarine to go down into the Marianas Trench. And the Marianas Trench, is 36,000 feet below sea level. The pressure of the ocean down there, it's over 15,000 PSI. It's crazy. And do you know what Sylvia Earle said when she saw it? She said, you know what? That's the right size for me. I should be the one who goes down to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. I don't know if James Cameron politely laughed or what he did, but she told him it should be her. And in a way, it sort of should be, because, she's devoted her whole life to this. But I don't know if he gave her a turn after he had the first.
A shot at the wheel of the submersible. There are shots of her, I think, coming out of and exploring various ocean habitats. She's clearly someone who's comfortable, exploring the ocean from underneath the ocean, within the ocean. It's interesting that she's high profile. She's made the cover of Time magazine, and that Sylvia Earle she's a change agent, is like what I'm getting from you.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a change agent, and the sort of the glass ceilings that she has smashed, the first ever woman to, walk on the ocean floor. And it's kind of interesting because, we've talked about this before, the ocean sort of out of sight, out of mind. Most of us haven't, scuba dived. We don't know what it looks like under the surface. And it just doesn't get the same attention. Jane Goodall gets a lot of press. And Sylvia Earle does as well. But when you think she's representing, this ecosystem that covers 71% of the Earth's, surface. I mean, 97% of our water is in the ocean, guys. There's only 3% of it that's fresh water. Most of it is from the ocean, and the whole hydrological cycle starts in the ocean. That water evaporates up into the atmosphere, gets into clouds, they move over the earth, they let go of the precipitation. That's where our drinking water comes from. So
the treatment of the ocean as this open sewer, which is really what it's been, and it's kind of even implied in what you talk about with Jane Goodall being celebrated as she should be. I mean, she really amazing work, and such cool stuff that she's done now, expanding from beyond her original research into protecting habitats. But you see that there's all of this stuff that we can oftentimes relate to more easily. But the ocean is this mysterious thing down there, and so we just dump stuff in it because it's out of sight, out of mind. We're really a brutally simple species when you think about human beings.
Yeah, well, and the other thing with the ocean is it's sort of that out of sight, out of mind, and when you talk about us being simple, we're quite, myopic, we're quite short-sighted about, we just put our pollution out into the ocean. And we just put, if there are all these oil rigs that are out in the Gulf Coast, or we, can't see them, or we put them out into the North Sea. But, the fact is, 7 out of every 10 breaths we take, that oxygen, where does it come from? It comes from the ocean. So a healthy ocean is super important for all of us. And what was interesting with this hope spot in Ireland was that when they polled, Irish people, 81% of them said, oh yes, we need to be protecting the ocean. And when you look at how populations are distributed around the world, most of them are close to the coast. We like the ocean. We want to be near it. It's that's going to be a little problematic as sea level rises, but we're really drawn to it.
Sure, it's restorative. It induces a tranquility. Back when I was a big baller, Belinda, I had a place in Malibu right on the ocean. My neighbors were these big celebrities, and let me tell you something. I never wanted to leave that place. I was in tears when I had to sell it because you go from sometimes you just have to sell stuff, and but you don't have to have some spot in Malibu. The truth is that you're wherever you are, you're right. When you're close to that magic of the ocean, it's you also feel the power of the ocean. I mean, you just go out to Seacliff. You go out to where there are parts of San Francisco. All across northern and central California, all along the coast. You see this sort of the unfettered power of Mother Nature and the ocean. It's awe-inspiring and intimidating. There's some pictures of Sylvia.
Yeah. So that was, she was, there's her on the cover of Time. And look how beautiful she is. And she still looks like that at 87. And I don't know if she still is scuba diving, but it's, she was just a few years ago. And you see her, there's one amazing photograph of her in the ocean. And there's this enormous school of fish above her. And and you just go, wow, that's her deepness. That's her doing her thing. And the fact that she always has that smile on her face, even though she's witnessed, some of the, atrocities that happen in the, the name of, fishing. I mean, she's been a consultant when the Deepwater Horizon, burst a pipe. I mean, it wasn't a pipe, obviously, it was more than that. But, she consults on oil spills. She's just been at it for so long.
A spectacular activist and environmentalist. And there's this hope spot you're talking about. So I didn't know about these hope spots. So this is I'm embarrassed to say, I think maybe you've touched on them before, but I didn't realize they were called hope spots. I knew that they were protected areas.
Yeah, they're called hope spots by Sylvia Earle and her organization Mission Blue. But to the rest of the world, they're called MPAs, Marine Protected Areas. And we do have 15,000 of them worldwide. And Obama, when he was our president, he created 2 of the biggest MPAs in the oceans. One, I think they were both in the Pacific, and there's a huge one at the Marianas Trench. So they are all over the place. But here's the thing that's so tricky about the ocean, because it's the big wide ocean. It's like the EPA here having, the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act. Those have to be enforced. Well, how do you enforce an MPA when that area is way out in the middle of the ocean? And that's the thing. So you can still get, illegal fishers coming in and encroaching on an MPA, because it's really hard to police this enormous area out there. But, hopefully we will, if we got to the 30 by 30, 30% of terrestrial and, ocean waters protected by the year 2030, that would be
sure. I mean, that would be terrific. I mean, you're right. Even as we recognize Sylvia Earle in your visit today, you note that her activism and this work and this protection that Ireland has just granted this part of the ocean, it lives alongside what is piracy on the part, particularly of Asia, where you've got these Chinese fishing trawlers out there. They literally have set up floating factories. Sometimes people don't leave these ships for a couple of years at a time. They will do everything from as I was saying before, strip mining the ocean of fish to processing all the fish on board this thing, which is an industrial vessel, but beyond anything you could ever even conceive of. It is a floating fish factory, and it's there to essentially rob a lot of these areas, even protected areas, of all the wildlife there. So, I mean, I'd love to see this get even more momentum. And as you say, those goals to be reached in the next decade, it would be great. Belinda, thank you. I love talking to you, and I wish we had more time, but really do love your ongoing contribution to the show. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right. Belinda Weymouth. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.